The last thing for us to discuss about escaping the cube is how the rooms move. And so I want to use one of the example rooms from the actual movie, and that room is 665-972-545. This is the room that Levin is in when she realizes how the rooms are moving around. And she says, in kind of a hurry, that you add up the numbers to get the starting position. So 6 plus 6 plus 5 is 17. 9 plus 7 plus 2 is 19. And 5 plus 4 plus 5 is 14. So this is where they're at in the cube. This is their x, y, and z positions. It says that you add them up to get the starting position and you subtract them to track the movements. And how you do that is coordinate by coordinate. You're going to subtract the numbers in 665 to figure out the x movements. So you'll go 6 minus 6 first. The first number minus the second number, that's 0. Then the second number minus the third number, 6 minus 5 is 1. And then the third number back to the first number, so 5 minus 6 is negative 1. So these are all the ways in which this particular room moves along the x-axis. If we want to look at how it moves along the y-axis, we do the same thing. First number minus second number, 9 minus 7 is 2. Second number minus third number, 7 minus 2 is 5. And third number minus first number, 2 minus 9 is negative 7. So these are the movements that this room makes along the y-axis. And finally, we can think about how it moves along the z-axis. So 5 minus 4 is 1, 4 minus 5 is negative 1, and 5 minus 5, third number minus first number, is 0. So these are all the movements that are made. It stays still sometimes along the x-axis, or it increases by 1, say to 8, from 17 to 18, and then decreases by 1 from 18 back to 17. On the y-axis, it will increase by 2, so from 19 up to 21, and increase by 5, so from 21 up to 26, and then it will decrease by 7, go 26 back to 19. And the same thing along the z-axis. So if we wanted to track this room's movements, it's going to basically read left to right, one line at a time, the way I've written it here. So we start at 17, 19, 14, x, y, and z. And I add nothing to the x-axis first, and we move to 17, 19, 14. Then I add 2 to y, so that takes us to 17, 21, 14. Then I add 1 to z, and that takes us to 17, 21, 15. And then we come back over and start back at x. So we've done 0 on the x, 2 on the y, 1 on the z. Now 1 on the x, 5 on the y, negative 1 on the z. So the next spot will be plus 1 in the x-axis. That's 18, 21, 15. Plus 5 on the y-axis. So 18, 26, 15. Plus, minus 1 on the z-axis. So we go to 18, 26, 14. And then we do our last moves on each axis. So minus 1 on the x-axis, 17, 26, 14. Minus 7 on the y-axis, 17, 19, 14. And 0 on the z-axis, 17, 19, 14. So if we follow our path, we start at 17, 19, 14. We don't move, then we move along y, then we move along z. X, Y, Z. X, Y, Z. And we end up back where we started. And so that's something that Levin notices, is that these are cyclical movements, they're permutations. You can always get back to where you started. And since it's always 3 digits and 3 coordinates, you're always making 9 moves. Sometimes you're moving 0 spaces, but there's always 9 individual positions. Sometimes they're the same position. But we start at 17, 19, 14, make 1 move, 2 moves, 3 moves, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, back to where we started. Let's work one more example. If you feel like you understand this, you can skip the second example and move right on to the quiz. But if you'd like another example, let's consider room 160-809-185. Our starting position is we add up the numbers. So 1 plus 6 plus 0 is 7. Our second position, 8 plus 0 plus 9 is 17. And our third coordinate is 1 plus 8 plus 5, that's 14. So this is where we start. And then our X moves will be 1 minus 6, that's negative 5. 6 minus 0, that's 6. And 0 minus 1, that's negative 1. Our Y moves will be 8 minus 0, that's 8. 0 minus 9, that's negative 9. And 9 minus 8, that's positive 1. And then our Z moves will be 1 minus 8, that's negative 7. 8 minus 5, that's 3. And 5 minus 1, that's 4. So here are our X, Y, and Z moves, coming from subtracting first number minus second number minus third number, and third number minus first number. So the second position will come from subtracting 5 from X. So we go from 7 to 2. So here's the second position of this room. Then I add 8 to Y. So I go from 2 to 17 plus 8. That's 25. Then I subtract 7 from Z. So that's 2, 25, 7. First position, second position, third, and fourth. First, second, and third moves across the top row here. Then, we're ready for the second row. 6 on X, negative 9 on Y, 3 on Z. So first we move 6 in the positive direction, so 2 plus 6 is 8. In X. Then subtract 9 from Y, so 8, and then 16, 7. And then add 3 to Z, so 8, 16, 10. Then finally we're ready for our last 3 moves, which will be negative 1 on the x-axis. So subtract 1 from 8. Positive 1 on the y-axis, so add 1 to y. And positive 4 on the z-axis, so add 4 to z. And if we did everything right, we should end up back where we started. 7, 17, 14, 7, 17, 14. If we think of each triple as A, B, C, the first row is A minus B for each, the x, the y, and the z. 1 minus 6, 8 minus 0, 1 minus 8. The second row is B minus C. The second number digit minus the third digit, 6 minus 0, 0 minus 9, 8 minus 5. And then C minus A, third digit minus first digit. 0 minus 1, 9 minus 8, and 5 minus 1. Each of these numbers is one move along one specific axis. We have 3 rows and 3 columns. That's 9 moves total. And at the end of the 9th move, we should be back to where we started. So now that we understand how the rooms move around the cube and how to identify traps, we should be able to escape as long as everyone can keep their cool.